All right. Well, I've got our breakout sessions. They'll be a little bit smaller, but then I'm waiting for I have 2 sessions set up. I think it'll be okay for us. And then when Robert jumps in, I'll send him to a room. So I'm going to go ahead and so first up, we're working on the sync session drills for our first one for this one. And I'll do 25 minutes and then let's say, and then we'll see how far we get. And then we're doing it in threes. So we'll do the next one will be 30 and then whatever we have remaining, we'll wrap up. So room 2, I think, Zach, you've got room 1.
Great.
Here we go. Let me share my screen. Which screen 1? Share this one. Awesome. Okay. So let me get Azure Data Studio up. I'll be curious to see how these run because sometimes these Python exercises can go a little quicker than the SQL ones. So I was kind of going through those, but then others might take a little bit longer to run through. So let me make sure that's the wrong one. Let me see here. Make sure I've got this up. So yeah, we'll go to. So I guess we all got this one taken care of, right? That was just this, making sure that works.
World. Yep.
We've got this one right here. Okay. All right. So how do we want to approach this one?
Large aquarium can hold 2.4 billion gallons of water. Yeah. Move things around.
So what do we think we want to, how do we want to start with the first one? The large aquarium.
We got to think through the English version first. Okay, so we just want to take 73% of the 2.4 million, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do that a couple of different ways.
Well,
so which way do you
I
want to
was
do?
thinking maybe using variables to hold.
Just hold
all
the,
that group.
okay. So like one for aquarium. Maybe.
Yeah.
For the 2.4 million. And then do we want to do, what do we want to do? Do you want to do the subtraction on the percent and to get the, because we want the opposite, right? We want the 17% or 27%. I don't know, whatever 73.
Oh yeah, that works. Do you want to capture the percent as just a percent? Like
Oh, I always think of them in the decimal points that they are.
or percent used like that.
Yeah, there you go.
And then just like this.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I would probably calculate, I would do the calculation for the percent remaining, I think is probably what I would call that variable.
Okay. Do you want to read that to another variable or just like remaining?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And say
And then do your, do 1 minus your aquarium or vice versa.
So 1 minus, minus aquarium like this.
Yep.
Is that what you're thinking too, Troy? Just kind of.
Yep.
Times 0.73. Is that right? Am I saying that?
Times percent used.
Oops.
Yeah, that's percent used. Yep.
Percent used.
Am I doing, are we doing that right?
Time aquarium times -1.
No, because so if you want the remaining, then you have to, then if you're going to multiply aquarium, you want to put your 1 minus inside the parenthetical with percent used, right? So that you come back with,
Well, so the
or am I
One
doing that
minus.
wrong?
like this.
Yeah, right?
Well, we need aquarium minus, and then inside parentheses. And then we want to find percent U, or then we want to find aquarium times percent used there.
Like this. Oops.
Isn't that right? So,
Oh,
so within
yeah, that works
parentheses,
too.
we'll have the volume
Mhm.
that has been used, and then aquarium is the volume, full volume.
Right? Harder to decide how to do the math than it is to write the Python.
I guess does that look about right?
Right.
I guess we can cross check that.
Yeah.
Let's put a.
That's what my calculator version gets.
Oh, and I see what you were doing. You're going a different way. I see you're
Exactly. Yeah, I was finding the remaining percentage.
Percent, and then that makes sense too.
Nice. Well, this is cool.
That's what my calculator says. My calculator agrees.
All right, I like it. Yeah, I think that's all we need to do for this one.
Large thermos has 512 ounces. Okay.
Let's put,
Yeah, a lot of it kind of depends on what numbers you really need. You know, if you're doing this in a program where you want to know what the volume used, you know, plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the volume in the aquarium and the capacity remaining or something.
Yeah, right.
Depends, so how you might want to do that and the things you want to track.
There we go. Oops. What am I missing? Oh. So let's do a string on that, and then I think that'll take care of that. There we go.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, that works. Okay, and then I guess if we're putting this down for recording purposes, we can do this so that we'll convert it to int and keep it clean. All right. Okay, so
Awesome.
then that takes care of that. How do we do number 2?
I was gonna say we can probably come close, but I guess if we were gonna do this future-proofed, we probably want a variable for the number of students and the number of ounces drank. So maybe thermos capacity.
Size, capacity.
Yeah, there you go.
Capacity. And then you said student.
Yeah, like student count.
Student count. Okay.
And then I don't know how we want to say like
Student.
I'm a long variable names, so you know, student drank ounces or student consumed ounces.
Student per drink. I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
I see where you're going. Yeah, per like student. Yeah, I guess we'd say per drink. I don't know. I think yeah, I see where you're going. Well, we can word it.
Yep. Then your thermos capacity is your 512. Your student count is 3 ounces. Maybe 2 in this case.
2.
22, I think is what it is.
22. Yep. All right.
And so then then your final variable would be like thermos remaining capacity. Or, yeah. And
Okay.
you're gonna take your student count times your thermos capacity minus your student count times your student per drink.
Student count times student per drink.
Correct. Yep. And then parenthetical on that part.
Like this.
And then you're gonna subtract your thermos capacity. Well, you would either put thermos capacity at the front and subtract your found value, or yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I like it.
If I'm doing that right. Troy's being quiet, so I assume I'm doing that right. Or he's furiously downloading things.
Like,
Well, I'm
wrong.
trying to figure out why I've installed Python, but now I'm trying to pip install pandas and I can't change my kernel to Python.
oh, you know what?
That's
I
fun.
found- you know what's weird is try to switch to SQL first.
Okay.
Oh, and then go
I
to Python.
noticed. Yeah, I noticed that when I went to PowerShell and then switched to Python, it was sometimes wouldn't do it. So then what I
Oh, well, that's exactly what's happening to me.
yeah, so then what I did was I went from PowerShell to SQL and then SQL to Python and then it worked. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. So that was a little bug that I spotted in Azure Data Studio. So what I was doing was like, all right, I'll just create a separate PowerShell notebook and just run it that way. Yeah. Yeah. So what are we saying here?
Yeah, so we're well, I mean, we're saying remaining thermos capacity. You keep most of what you got there. And then you're essentially going to have the same thing that you've got there, except you're swapping it out to ounces. Yep.
Okay. Is that that
It's
line up
calculator.
with count with a paper? That looks about right. Yeah, I think we're 446 remaining.
Yep. Calculator agrees.
Oh, sweet. Okay, let me file. Save as. Save. Okay. Yeah, excellent. Well, this was a lot quicker than the sequel one. The sequel ones took so long to get through.
Right? Well,
Excellent.
when you don't have syntax that you have to think about, actually, for me, Python's almost harder because there is no syntax.
Yeah.
And I keep wanting to add syntax.
I keep wanting to add a semicolon at the end of every line.
Right.
Or commas or something.
There's always,
You're you're just so scarred from all the times where you forgot the semicolon or where you forgot the comma.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, very cool. Well, let me jump out real quick to go check on the other group.
Do you want us to move on to the next one, or?
Yeah, let's let me stop share real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
So here, yeah, this is where we see we go.
Awesome. Did you guys just finish all of them?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
all breakout sessions are all done.
Looking at some other string stuff. Yep.
No, but did you finish yours? Also,
The first one.
the first one. Okay, cool.
The first one. Yeah.
All right. Well then, yeah, we finished ours just about 30 seconds ago. So did you want, maybe I can just go ahead and end the session early and then we can jump on to the next one. Cause I do think the others are going to be a little bit more involved.
Sure.
So, okay, cool.
Good.
Let me close all rooms. Break out. Okay. All right. So I'm recording this. You know what's going to be fun is splicing them together in the video for the follow-up for everyone else is always a challenge, because what'll happen is they're just out of sequence and I get this one long video that's got things in different time sequences. And so I'm like, where did the breakout happen for this one? And so, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
And, yeah. And what ends up making it more complicated is the way Zoom works, which I don't understand. This is Zoom is going to create a cloud recording of the main session, but then this will be local for this breakout.
Right.
So then I'm going to have to anyway.
You need Camtasia.
What's that?
You need Camtasia.
Camtasia. Okay.
Camtasia. It's kind of expensive, but it's worth every penny of it.
All
That's
right.
what I use for all of my video editing needs.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Super, super useful. Very easy to work with and intuitive.
We have a license of it here at K-State, Mike, so we got,
Oh,
I mean, it does cost, but it's a little cheaper than the full-blown version, so.
okay. Okay. Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Mike, if you want, I can drive since I got mine up and going now.
Okay, cool. All right, perfect.
Watch Troy add semicolons.
Right. Every time I do that, be sure to tell me.
Okay.
My Python's pretty rusty. All right, so here we go. I'm just taking directions. Okay, given a right triangle which angles in 90% states that the area of the square formed with the longest side, right triangle, sum of the equal squares formed by the other two sides. Okay, we know that.
Looks like, looks like we're doing a little program for the Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah. So we're just going to take in our.
Yeah, what do we want to call
variables.
that?
Can we just call them A, B, and C?
Yeah, that works for me.
All right. So we need to convert them over to number value. Input side A.
Yeah. I'll be clear. Do the same
That's
thing
that's for the descriptive stats.
Oh, I'm in the wrong place. I see.
Oh.
See, I can't even type in the right place.
Glad it's you, not me. We'll do the next one. Yeah, it's the same thing for B and C. Yeah.
Oops. All right, does that look all right?
Looks good to me.
Yep.
Do we need C as an input? Because we're not typing in C,
Oh,
right?
Right, you're
We're
right. That's what I'm
calculating
trying to
C.
calculating C.
Yeah.
All right, so let's then I guess we need to calculate C.
Maybe our A squared.
I'm trying to remember in Python, is it
Look right in.
two? I don't remember.
I'm looking. Can we just do yeah. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Looks, yeah.
Didn't throw an error anyway. All right.
Well, now this is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we then want the square root of all that. I don't remember square root.
Is it? I don't, like I said, I can't remember my,
I know. I'm looking here just a minute.
and whether we have to import the math or not.
Can we do the .sqrt? That's part of pandas, right? Is that, am I right on that?
Math, you can use the math library for it.
The math library, okay.
Yeah, import math, and then you can do a math.sqrt. That's an option for you.
And
What is SQRT?
Yep.
yeah,
Just like that.
well,
Yep. Math.sqrt, but yeah.
but we need to put,
Did you? Oh, you ran it and nothing came out.
No, I haven't. I was just gonna,
yeah, let me just
can
print
do
and see if
this.
it works.
just to see what we got.
Oh, calculator. I'm falling down on my calculator job.
I put 2 and 3 in. Looks about right.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Checks out.
Let me switch to a better calculator here. Yeah, correct. Yep, that checks out.
Nice work. Nice work. That's good. And just as a FYI, if you wanted to, yours is very elegant with the asterisk usage of asterisk. You can also use math.pow if you wanted to go that route too, but that's, you know, the way you've got it is even cleaner.
That would be math.pow.
And then you would pass in your A.
Yeah.
To
And then I think it's comma separated.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So yours is pretty clean, but that's another alternative too if you wanted to explore the other math functions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Very cool. Nice work. Yeah. All right. Now this one is
Not as easy.
definitely.
This one is the one that's intended to take the 30 minutes.
Now, here we go. Now the rest of the time, yes, that's right. That's right. Good on time though. These are working a little bit. I don't feel as rushed, or I
Right.
imagine you don't probably feel as rushed either. So I think this is 90 minutes seems to be the key.
So we need to import pandas,
Mm-hmm.
which hopefully I have that ready to go. We probably shorten that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
easier for ourselves later.
so I don't have
How do we
the
want to approach
syntax for
this?
this all.
Well, and do we want to like restate what we're trying to accomplish? So with the descriptive statistics here, what is it that we're trying to accomplish specifically?
So you're gonna take, yeah, that's right. Yep. And then you're gonna try to go find the descriptive statistics on that data set. That's right.
So this would be the min, the max, the mean,
Yep.
standard deviation.
Yep.
Do you remember what the command is? If not, I can
I
probably.
think it's DF. Well, yeah, no, hang on. Sorry, I'm looking.
I probably have it here on mine too.
Is there a, Mike, is there a recommended like quick reference for just like documentation that is like a good spot to kind of go to help reference?
Yes, there is. For anything that is, I'd say anything that you want to use that is part of the python.org is always good, but for data frame, pydata.org is good. Another one is always a good go-to if you want to see examples, some basic examples of stuff working, is W3 Schools. That's always a nice one to, I find that it's kind of helpful to see some basics. But yeah, I'd say that for like in the details, in the weeds for Python, pydata.org is a good one. And then of course, this one works pretty good too. I don't know who put this together, but yeah.
Sync session, get back to where it was at.
Yep. So yeah, so we want to turn this into a data frame, right? And then we want to just do the dot describe.
Okay. So, the data frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not sure about what's required for data frame. Is it just the list?
I think so.
Pretty sure. Yep.
And this is really, at this point, what we're doing is we're just creating a Panda table, right?
That's correct.
And then we're going to pass. So then we can do a variable, or yeah, you can probably print it directly for your describe.
Is it a table dot describe?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There it is.
Now I think, is there a parenthetical? Is it all of it?
That's actually listing the whole table. That's listing the data frame.
Mm-hmm.
That's listing the data frame. So we need something else here.
Can you do, and does it need to have, do we need to pass something into the describe? I wish I had my other computer.
Here, let me pull up.
I'm gonna pull up
what I did
your
before.
async. I think you had it on there. Yeah, there it is. So
don't have to pass anything apparently.
Yep. There we go.
There it is.
There it is. Oh,
And so the 0 there is just because we don't have any column heading?
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
it's listing 0 as the index for essentially. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. An index, that's the index of the describe function. That's showing just the 0 of that. And but you're exactly right. Like if you had like a multi-list, like a multi-dimensional list, then it would go 0, 1, 2.
It would.
Yeah. It would show 1 as another column, 2, and then it would give you the metrics for that too. Like
So-
if you,
How was it that you add a column heading?
I was gonna say, if you add brackets after table, is that naming the table or is that naming? Yeah.
It isn't like that.
I was just looking at this, and now, of course, I've gotten away from it.
Oh, column is equals.
Mhm.
I see.
Yeah.
I made that mistake when I did it before, when I was doing the async one. I left the.
Right.
Not sure if it has to be a list or not. Trying too hard on this, I know, but
Right.
still not right.
Take
Wait a minute, I have a curly bracket in there.
Yeah. And I think you have a second.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Nice.
Yes.
And one thing you can do is do a type on the table, and then so type print, and this is just extra, type, yep, and then wrap that, yep, there you go, and then run that there. So that'll give you what type it is. So that shows you that it is in fact a data frame that you're working with. So yeah, nice work. I think we are, yeah, 20 minutes, did that in less than 20 minutes. And we're adding extra to it. Nice.
Yeah.
Throw more at you guys.
Yeah,
Right.
I just have to figure out how to, I need to get used to the data frame stuff. I messed with this a few years ago and I just have not, I don't remember.
I have not retained how to navigate data frames.
And you know, there's always like little quirks, and I mean, and it's just, there's so many different libraries, and yeah,
I think that's why I was asking about the documentation, like what's the, later, what's the good quick reference to, when you've inevitably kind of forgotten or gotten away from it.
Yeah. There's of course there's good books, but I find that it's just, there's so much stuff online for free for this stuff, that in Python specifically has such a rich community of people that are, it's not like a language that you haven't heard of, right? That's hard to find information around. There's almost always someone's figured something out with a bug or something. It's really good for that. But yeah, those are really good. And I'll look around to see if there's like a bigger one, but yeah, this is for pandas anyway. PyData.org is good, and and if you're looking for like syntax, like notational information, it's called the PEP. So if you look, it's PEPS here. I'll just pop it in here so that you can, this is always a nice one. They call it the PEP 8 in the chat. Here, I'll put it in the chat. This is good for, let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
nice.
yeah, and that gives you a lot of examples to work with also for like how to style it, you know, best practices for how to write it, things like that. Some of it is kind of overboard, but it is kind of useful to see like, oh, that's how you should do that. Or even if you
Yeah.
take a bit away from it, it's always a nice, this is a nice, helpful guide in my opinion as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, very good. All right, I think I'm gonna go, let's I'm gonna leave this room and then I think we'll go back and jump into the next one.
Okay.
Equals y like that, and then something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. I haven't tested this, but yeah, there are ways to do that too. I'd have to look up the syntax for it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Either way, it seems like the dictionary is the easier or more straightforward way.
That's what I found just
Using
in my own usage, especially if I've got lots of these pieces of data that I want to stick into a single pandas data frame.
Yeah, got it.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Anything else?
Sounds like we wrapped up almost the same time too on our end.
Good.
Perfect.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll bring us back and then we'll jump into number 3. All right.
All right. Create a loop, capital A loop.
Oh, that's supposed to say exits when it encounters H, not exists.
Okay.
First
I
bug.
was trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. Okay, I got it now.
Hey,
All right.
hold on. I got to go jump over to the other room. They're probably like, what is he talking about? I'll be back.
Okay.
All right, so
All right, so we want.
Okay, so first bug, just as an FYI, you probably already picked it, but it's not exists, it's exit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, that's what, why am I looking for if it is? I confused myself. Sorry about that. Yeah. So you want for the first one, there you go. All right. I'll leave you guys to it.
All right, it's right there. I don't know what you're talking about.
okay.
There we go. All right, so we're printing our list, and then we should be able to do an if H or if X or if I equals H.
Equal to H.
And then we want to break for this one, right?
Okay.
Is H included or excluded, Mike?
Yeah, I guess the question is do we want H included? If we do, we want to put the print before. But either way, it's exiting when it hits H.
It is. You're
So,
muted, Mike.
I like if it's going to exit
Yeah,
on
so-
H, it's just,
Yeah. So I would say the way you have it is good.
yeah.
That's right. And if you wanted to include, then you're good. But that totally is fine. Yeah. Yeah. Nice work. Okay.
Just have to keep track of when processing, whether we want to include that last one or not. But a lot of times it's like a case where when you hit the number 999 or something, you're going to exit or something like that. You don't want to include that in the data. But okay, should we go on to 2?
Yeah. Don't forget to move that X. Move your array down.
That's a good place to start. All right.
All right, so only display where it finds a value of 2. Ooh,
Okay. So we need to iterate through it again.
I and X. And then we should be able to use our if I. And then we want to do, is it where it is 2? Or is it where it contains a 2? Yeah, we can do that version
Yep.
first.
So maybe we should, if we want to print the positions of the 2s in the list.
Yeah, that would be nice. If we remember the syntax for doing that.
I think there's a way to pull both the index and the value. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the syntax is.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking to see if I can find on W3 schools.
Not that lucky. I think you can do that in Python. Something like that, but maybe you can't.
Where did I see the inversion of this? What's the? I can't see if it's got a specific import, but they've got a like a dot index and then printing. So they've got index as a variable to be printed that equals the array dot. So like if you were going to do, so like right below where you have your if.
But okay, go ahead. We'll probably just have to rewrite this if we're going to do it.
Yeah, if we're going to do it that way.
Well, another way of doing it, if we go back to what we
Doing it before.
were doing before, is that we can just add a counter in here and do it that way.
Yeah, and then increment the counter. And your print would need to be after your index, right?
Well, it started with 0, and so the index of the first one is 0.
Uh-huh.
And then
Oh, yeah, okay.
2 and 1 and so on. And so that we want to increment after we print it.
Yep.
So index 1. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay, now we can get other tricksy. Do we want to print all of the instances where it contains a value of 2, even if the actual value itself isn't 2? Even if the total numerical value isn't 2? Do we know the contains syntax? Let me.
Oh, okay.
What contains?
All right, I'll save this version and
String.
so in this case, then we're going to need to convert that value to a string.
Yep. that's
And
what I was
then
just
look
looking
and
at.
see if there is a, and then we'll have to go through each of those string values to see if it matches up with a 2. Right?
Yep, it looks like we can do a find. Looks like there's a find function in the string methods.
Okay.
So if we convert to if we can convert the value to a string, then we should be able to do a find.
Let's call it, how about I just call it SV for string value?
Mhm.
It's kind of
Works for me. Looks like it would be SV dot find with parentheticals,
Okay.
if I'm reading this correctly.
Like that.
So let me jump in here. Yes. See what happens.
All right. So 0, wait a minute.
Did we print them all?
Why did it print 0?
It's a good question. Oh, is it off in its index since we're calculating the index? Because it's running both? Maybe comment out the first grouping, like the first round altogether. I think you need to comment out lines 3 through 7. Nope. Still giving us the 0 position.
0, 1, 2. It does not like, but I can't figure out what it's doing.
Yeah, now I just want to know what it's doing. What we did. Did we omit all of the ones? Because it should be returning 1. Should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's giving us like, well, no. Oh, that's. Yeah. Find must not be the right thing.
Yeah, I was gonna look and see what find does here. Oh no, it finds how many instances are of 2. So
Yeah, okay.
the first
Yep.
time is
It's giving the position of where it's finding, it's giving the character position.
yeah. So if
There it is.
find
So if find 2
0, 1, 2
at all, then we
4,
need
5,
to,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it's fine. It's doing the position.
but why would it print that? It should still be printing the index though, because we're not printing.
Well,
the
okay,
position,
so
right?
no, so here's what it's doing. So the first time through, it doesn't print the index. So oh, Yeah, it's still trying, I'm printing index, not find.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was thinking, oh, position of
Yeah.
this is 0. Position of this is 2.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't make sense for the next one. So
Right.
next is 0, 1.
So 0, 1.
I don't know what it's
Included
doing.
1.
It's doing something weird.
So it omitted 1. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, negative. -1. 0. 0, 2, 2. Mike, we can go back whenever you want. Just playing here.
Oh, no, it's good. We've got
That's
some extra time.
Is okay, let's try. I think we need to tell it.
So if it doesn't find a 2, then it returns a -1.
So try for the if sv.find, set it equals to -1, equals -1. That was
Or not equals to -1, or equals to -1.
Let's do equals -1.
Okay.
See what it returns there. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's not equals -1.
So if it's -1, so it'd be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yep. So it'd be not
7,
equals.
9, and 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that don't have a 2 in it. And
Right.
these are the ones. Yeah.
5, 8, 11. Yep. Cool.
So real quick, wait, where am I at? Oh, okay, here we go. I was just working on a little trick that I wanted to show you since we've got some time. Another thing, and I didn't show, we're going to cover this, but I haven't put them in yet.
Here, I'll stop sharing and you can show us.
Yeah, let me.
I was gonna say, I'm sure there's a way to do without converting to a string.
Well, there's let me. Whoops, where am I? Over here. Come on.
Yeah, that's not very efficient way with it. We did, and I'm sure.
It's good to just let like the exploration happen, right? Of course, but yeah, what you were building is cool. Let me share just something that I was kind of goofing around with. So one of the things that that you can do is this is a list comprehension. And so you know how you can do your for, but these are really neat. I really enjoy list comprehensions because they give you a lot of capability. And what I was trying to do, so you can take your
Oh,
list
yeah, yeah.
and wrap everything into, you can wrap your control flow directly into a single line, which is just so nice. So in this case, it's just creating a for loop in line and iterates, and then I can do a check on that and then output that to a new
And
list.
then output the new list. So you're creating your secondary list from your,
Right. You're kind of, you're shrinking it down to just only picking out what you want and then creating a new list off of that. So that's kind of a neat way to do it. Another thing that I was trying to work with, which was accessing the index of the list. And I was goofing around with this extra one here. So this is another thing that you can do. I am recording. I just want to make sure. So this is a neat way to do it too. That was I was trying to, I ran out of time. I was trying to build a look into this so that I could output. But this you can run your logic on this too. So this gets you the index and the value, but you have to use what's called an enumerate function to do that. So you can actually, then what you could do is you could pull out quickly out of, again, using a list comprehension, you could pull out where the twos were and its index.
index value.
Yeah. So that's kind of another neat way to go about it. But you guys hit it on the head right away. I mean, that's, you picked it up right away. I love that you were just ready to go to the next level though. Like, oh, so this is really, I'm excited.
Well, who
about
wants to know only when it is to? You want to know when it has a to.
Right. No, this is good. Well, I was kind of like, so for the first sync session, I wasn't sure. I want to kind of gauge the crowd, and so I didn't want to throw too many complicated things at it. But I'm glad to see that everyone is jumping into kind of, well, let's do the next thing, right? What can we do extra, right? So that's kind of cool. And the timing's good, so we're good on timing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, excellent.
Yeah,
So
that enumerate will be handy to be able to pull off both those things. So is that the same thing that do you have to use enumerate when you're going through a dictionary? Or does a dictionary just know?
Yeah, no, any iterable, yeah, if you want to, you would have to use enumerate on anything. So list, dictionary as well, sets, frozen sets, anything that's got, yeah, so it should work on dictionaries too. Yeah. That enumerate is a lifesaver on especially a lot of these type of operations. Yeah, so but we're jumping into the details so quickly here. It's like, all right, let's go ahead and do it. Yeah, and the good news is what we have coming up for next week, and I'll probably save this for the main session here, but I'll hold off and let everyone else know too. But we're gonna be jumping into some of the data science work. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, let me stop sharing, and then I'll jump over. We can head over to the other room, or the main room, and I'm gonna leave breakout room now.
Into the game, notebook tools. I would say Google Colab is the other one to look into. So you can use Colab as like a free notebook tool, just popular that I've seen. And I think Visual Studio Code is another really common one for Python. Both of those are really useful. So
yeah, PyCharm's pretty helpful. I like the new Spider, the 5.0
one.
Yeah. That's a good one. I know that, yeah, VS Code is probably the PyCharm and VS Code are probably the more popular ones out there.
Yeah.
I know at Berkeley that it's a lot of VS Code and PyCharm as well.
Yeah, we did a poll when I started. Someone asked me on the team like what my tool of choice was, and we got some debate going between PyCharm and VS Code. Those were pretty much the two. So yeah, I think there is a free PyCharm if I'm not mistaken, but I haven't used that, but I know VS Code is a lot more accessible if you don't like have the enterprise account and everything set up.
Yeah, it is. There's there's one, excuse me. There's one called MU that's it's basic. That's another one that you can look into as well. But with Anaconda Navigator, you've got so many options there with that. So there's, what is it, 3 IDEs now that are in Anaconda. Yeah. So, well, very cool. Yeah, it looks like time's good. So that means I got to throw more in there. So that's what, and we got harder coding drills. No, that worked out well. So that was awesome. That's fantastic. Everyone did a great job. And of course, I have this recorded, and I'll get it spliced together and put up for everyone here to review back on. If I'll put in, I've got a session in the session with Jennifer and Troy. I showed list comprehensions also because we had extra time. So I threw a couple in there and threw in the enumerate function as well. So there was some little extra tidbits we'll throw into the video. So if you want, as the whole group, you'll be able to see kind of what we did with that. And Troy and Jennifer working on some extra options too. So there will be some other alternatives for people to see. The other thing, as an FYI, next week, we're moving along really well. Next week we'll have, we will start to scratch at the data science piece of it, and then getting into machine learning, start to talk about differences between correlation and covariance and things like that. We'll start to really get into, so it'll ramp up pretty quick after this week is where I'm going. And then, which is going to be great for Zach because he's our resident statistics expert. In addition to being a machine learning expert, he'll be able to explain the math way better than I could ever do. I can't do it justice. So yeah, those will be some fun stuff. We'll be hitting it pretty good next week. So any questions, I guess, for us? Stephanie, sure, come on. I know you.
I got it out of my system already. Okay.
Okay.
She suggested her own coding problem that we solved in our session.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would like you to, what's the best way to explain a correlation coefficient to people that are less familiar with what that actually means?
Pearson correlation. Zach, do you want to take a stab at it? I certainly have the.
How do you present on correlation coefficients when you're talking to an audience? Maybe it's the right way to say that.
I would stay away from the math completely, probably, if I'm trying to say that. I think a lot of the time, people have a general sense of what correlation means because it's a common, word in the language.
Yep.
So I would just say when we're talking about correlation here, it's a measure of the relationship between two variables. So technically it's a linear relationship, but usually they're not going to care about that. So just explaining that, it's on a -1 to +1 scale, right? If you're close to 1 or -1, we're talking a really strong relationship that as X changes, Y also changes. And then close to 0 means, one variable has no relationship with the other one. Where I would be very careful is the correlation and causation issue. So everybody always jumps to talking about effects and, causal relationships between two variables, and we have to be really careful there. So I try not to I always want to throw on the nerdy glasses and just my statistician hat and everything and try to explain how this does not relate to the effect one variable has on another effect. But usually if I'm talking at a really high level to non-technical people, it's not really worth getting into that discussion a whole lot. We just have to be,
Yeah, my problem is I have a split audience. So I have 3 people in my audience that are hyper technical and that are statisticians in their own right. And then there's the rest of the audience
Yeah.
in the same meeting. It's just like,
Well, yeah.
okay, so for you 3 who are also our CEO, our COO, and our CTO, like that's the other problem. It's like not the portion of the audience so you can kind of be like off on the side. Here's this. They're
Yeah. I
like
would
the
I would
main
look at
voices.
the highest level of your audience and then have another meeting with the other people. Yeah.
Yeah,
And for
you-
everyone else, so this scatter plot is only for them. For everyone else,
Right.
this is what this is. Yeah.
And I would, that's a good point. I mean, I think correlation's a lot more understandable if you're seeing something like a scatter plot where someone's going to look at that and an example of a high correlation and understand, you know, what that trend looks like or something like that. They might understand that better than a correlation of 0.84.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I always think of, I have always worked with correlation as scatter plots. And so that was my immediate, like, okay, here's the scatter plot of the correlation. And then when I presented that, or when I was talking through it kind of ahead with some other people on my team, they were like, well, I'm not really understanding the scatter plot. And so then it was like, okay, how do I maybe represent this differently? So I did actually like flip it into like a bar chart so that they could start to see the shift in the bar chart and like where they were kind of shifting together. But yeah, so that was like a bit of a brain flip because I was like, okay, wait, how do I kind of show what I'm seeing in the scatter plot as having been trained to see it in the scatter plot to somebody who's more comfortable in like bar charts or in another space.
And I would say one of the things that we did to really help with that conversation is we would give them an example of, oh yeah, there you go. There's some, Stephanie's got some good stuff there. So one of the things that we talk about before we even, what I think what's really helpful, especially when it comes to correlation and scatter plots specifically, because when we get into core plots with like lots and lots of variables, then it becomes a lot. Then you're like, oh my gosh, this is not just comparing one variable to another. We've got, you know, 20 compared to 20 or 100 compared to 100. You know, it'll be. But I would say one of the easiest things to do to explain to all audiences is give them something that almost everybody understands, which is borrowing versus interest rate. So it's a very simple thing. Like when you borrow more money, what is the tendency to happen for the interest rate of the borrowing, right? It's the more I borrow, usually the interest rate is lower. The less I borrow, the higher the interest rate. So that usually is a very interesting way to just, or you can come up with a lot of different examples, but usually I just come up with something simple, and we would usually come up with that, like, well, what does correlation mean? Well, let's talk about something simple that we all understand, right? Which is the more I borrow, the lower the interest rate. Usually there's a tendency. So we like to use like the word tendency because there's always outliers, but and then a good negative correlation I like to use is like, for example, the more absences students register, the worse their grade's going to be, that kind of thing. So it's kind of an inverse, like one's going up, you know, I'm registering more absences. Well, there's a reason why your grade's going down. So that's a negative correlation. And that's a simple one that everyone kind of can understand. So those are some good ones before jumping into the more technical, like more business specific ones that you might be looking at as an example. Yeah.
The borrowing example, seems like an interesting example where the causation might go both directions actually. Right. So if I'm borrowing more, they're more likely to give me a lower rate, but also if the rates go down, I
might be more likely to borrow.
So that's an interesting example if you do get into the causality conversation.
Yeah, well, in the causality of this particular scenario, we're looking at our payment behavior alongside our contact information, right? So like if we have good contact information, are we more or less likely to see solid payment behavior from our customers? And so I was trying to explain, like, this does not mean that bad contact information causes payment behavior to be bad. It means that if you have an account that has a past due balance or that owes us money, you're likely to find a bad contact in that account. So fortunately, this particular example was simple, but I know I'm about to walk into another one that is not going to be simple. This one I could do as a bar chart, but these ones that are like up on the horizon, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do bar charts for some of these.
Well, and this is why, and this is when we're always very careful. I say always, stream language, but we want to be very careful with just using correlation by itself, because when you can calculate a correlation and that's great, but then there's so many other different variables. Like we have to check to see if that correlation is even statistically significant, because we have to get a p-value on it, and we got to make sure that our distributions look good. Do we have any skews? Is our sample size good? Because I could create a great correlation off of 20 samples, but I don't know that that's going to pass muster. If I put that in front of anyone for a journal review, or even like put it in front of Robert, he would be like, wait, you want me to spend how much money on 20 samples, right? So you need to go back and get more data, right? That's what's going to happen. And and then, but I mean, typically for us to pass muster, it's not like especially if we're putting a paper out there, it's gotten so competitive now because machine learning models have become so accessible that we get oftentimes we'll get shot down because we just said, it used to be like, oh yeah, multivariate linear, you could do a multivariate regression. And now they're like, well, that's really simple, but I need you to do something more. So usually you'll have to do some kind of ensemble method for your quantitative analysis now, because they want to see not only that, but have you cross-checked it with what did random forest say? What did a support vector say? What did the, so there'll be a lot of, and then each one of those has their own model parameters for evaluation. So you'll have easily 5, 10. Usually if you can cross off about 10 different parameters, you're in good shape. But I can tell you for structural equation modeling, if you're publishing using that, or if you're using justifications using that for decision making, there's easily there's a good 20 parameters we have to check off before we'll say, yeah, that's a legitimate model that makes sense. Yeah, and correlation is just one. So yeah, but we'll the good news is here we'll show you what that looks like. And
awesome.
Yeah, and Python is the reason why those are so accessible these days as well. I mean, how many I don't know any stats or anything, but how many of those papers are using Python to build those models versus some other language? Especially for people who aren't computer scientists or data scientists, they're doing research in some area and then they have to do that quantitative side. So that's where Python's really handy.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Well, very good. I think that's all we got. Any parting words for us, Zach?
Just have a great week. No. Yeah, this was good. It went really smoothly. I'm excited to dive into some more complicated stuff. I think just like last time, it was sort of an easy intro to kind of get used to the mechanics of Python, and then it'll speed up pretty quickly here. So yeah, as always, just reach out with any questions as you work through it. But feel free to just come to the next session with some questions as well that we can answer for everyone. Great.
All right. Well, I will end this and get the video uploaded, and everyone have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.